Greetings, ZOGling, Wigger, and Manzarath styles across the fruited nut Zog plain here in the open air coast nut house we call Zog Babylon, the third and the final. But I'm mainly talking to you morons-uri, retards, because this is another episode of Mad Dogs Musings for September 1st to September 2nd. It's around, 1:20 a.m. I'm going to go ahead and talk for about 10 minutes and try to go ahead and load it up here to a safe location. Alrighty, there's a number of big things about the news. Old Gorby croaked off here, and most of the Russians are glad that that bastard's dead. But talking about another senile old bastard here, you had Senile Joe Trump. He went ahead and did a speech. And most of the tards who don't much care for Senile Joe said he was declaring war on Trump tards, or on, the ZOG-Emperor. And he was. Let's understand something. Just like with Brian Rio, going ahead and going to Northeast Ohio and taking my property, and then having these crooked South Dakota state judges take it here. Folks, this Civil War has been on the making since the very first Civil War was lost. And pretty well what it boils down to is that we really hate you evil bastards who live elsewhere. And what we want to do is we want to get free of you. So you hear Senile Joe whine about people who will not take the thieving that was done of the 2020 selection. We know it was stolen. You act like we're supposed to knuckle under and take your thieving here, just like with Brian Rio and, Ohio and South Dakota. Well, no. I have said since, the 13th of June, 2016, that you need to Chernobylize the North Perry nuclear power plant. Kill millions of ZOGlings. Teach them that, guess what, they don't get to go ahead and whine like a pussy because some crazed homosexual mongrel ZOGbot wants to. Just like with the FBI. You know what they did at Waco and Ruby Ridge. Why are these people not rounded up with their entire families and put in the J. Edgar Hoover building? You set fire to it, and then you shoot them and their families when they run out like rats here in a dump. Why are you dicking around with it here? You hear these idiots talk about, wigger whimpers like the Z-Mamser and all this here. But when it comes time to go ahead and talk about violence, oh no, we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about that. Well, folks, it's going to end up happening sooner or later. So anyway, I was looking, reading that stupid shit here. They said it'd be on primetime TV, but I was looking on NBC, and it wasn't on NBC. Or I didn't see it anywhere. And so he talk for 20 minutes, and maybe I'll be able to go ahead and download, but increasingly it seems like nobody even listens to that senile old goofy bastard. So anyway, that is what was going on, is that Senile Joe is running around, and they act, be in South Dakota or wherever. They act like, no. If you get the jump on them and you're able to Chernobylize their nuclear power plant, you're not going to. Well, no. We get, there's the ability to do it. In fact, it's really easy, as long as you get control of it. Now, what's going on is I was looking at, what they have the Ukrainians. They're using ZOG artillery to go ahead and shoot toward the nuclear power plant. Now, the Russians don't dare leave that nuclear power plant and leave fuel rods in it. I think what they're going to end up having to do is go and take these trucks and pretty well line them up probably with Ukrainian prisoners of war and take that, that plutonium and uranium, the nuclear fuel rods, both active and inactive, and simply take them off to Russia and make sure the Ukrainians can't go and reprocess them into nuclear weapons. That's what they're going to have to do. So they were trying. They had an attempt to use their what little remains of their armed forces here. And from what I gather, they lost 1,200 men and 50 or 100 tanks or whatever. They're not able to have an organized whatever, but they are able to, and essentially ZOG is helping. Now, folks, if I was Vladimir Putin, I'd just simply tell Senile Joes that, look, Senile Joe, keep digging around. Iran is going to have nuclear weapons. Because we're going to go ahead, since you're giving them military weapons, which is striking, which you allow to strike into our country, and also go ahead and strike that, nuclear power plant. Well, guess what? We're going to go ahead and give weapons to, terrorists like we used to do back in the days of, when Russia used to go ahead and finance the Red Brigades and the Bader Meinhof gang, a whole bunch of terrorists. Carlos the Jackal, whatever. I mean, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And that pretty well solved things. But you end up having these idiots talk about having more nuclear weapons. Well, no. The nuclear materials, that's not a case at all. Because here you have a whole bunch of hatred. And that's what got me about Biden. And all these other characters. I mean, their little minds, what little they got, are eaten out by Trump. Now, I'll admit, is that ever since June 2015, he announced, I don't know if I've ever had a single day where I didn't at least think about Trump. You know what I mean? Trump is, he's a carnival barker. He's a wrecking ball. He's larger than life. So, that's what that is, what you have is that you have ZOG falling apart more and more and more and more. In any case, I went and renewed, timely, went ahead and renewed my church. I want to go ahead and sell my big church building in this small town. But something what I'll do is that, maybe I'll go ahead and talk with some people who have a little bit of money, and also sell them walking wombs, that sort of thing. So anyway, I got a call, I bet, from my brother, Pighook the Mother-Killer. So it's about 1:27. I will talk to you later, for the, Mad Dogs Musing. Hail victory.